Guys, it's Sarah, and today I have a review for a book called As We Know It. This is written by Carrie Butler, and this book comes out today, December 12th, and I was actually sent this book from the author, and it was kind of a funny way that it came about. I talked about it a little bit in my December TBR, but basically I know of the author's sister through some other Facebook groups that I'm in, and her sister had mentioned that she has a sibling who writes and she was coming out with a new book soon, so I asked her if I could get information on the book and what's coming out and what's, what it's all about. So she sent me some information on it. I let her know that if her sister needed anyone to read and review it and talk about it upon the release date, I'm more than happy to do that. If not, I would purchase it after the fact. But within an hour, the author emailed me and said, I will absolutely send you an e-arc of this book. So it was really awesome. So she sent it to me really quickly and I was able to read it. And let me tell you, I flew through this book. As you know, it is I'm kind of categorizing it as a suspense romance. So there's definitely a romance in this book, but then it's also following a natural disaster. So it's almost like a thriller. Our two main characters are named Elena and Vincent, and this book takes place along the Pacific Northwest coastline. So when this book starts out, Elena finds out that her fiance is cheating on her. Her fiance is terrible. His name is Brent, and he is pretty much a despicable human being. You learn that really early on in the book. So Elena finds out that he's cheating on her. Their relationship ends. She ends up taking a little kind of time away from everything and goes to a coastline city in Oregon and is really just trying to get away from everything, forget everything, relax, and just kind of block it all out. While she's walking down the street in this Oregon town, she ends up running into a very handsome stranger. And after their it was literally just a run-in, she walked away, he walked away, and then she realized her engagement ring was missing and he had lifted it from her. Elena turns around and follows him into a coffee shop. She follows him in there and trying to confront him. While they are in this coffee shop, an earthquake hits. And it's an earthquake, like the building is starting to crumble, and Elena finds herself taking shelter underneath the table. Someone is on top of her, shielding her from everything, and it just happens to be this stranger. After things kind of settle down a little bit, they introduce themselves, and we find out that the stranger's name is Vincent. And the way that everything works out, they end up really finding themselves needing to come together and survive together. They really just realize that they need each other. So they're trying to make sense of what happened and also trying to outrun all of the aftershocks that are happening. There's also an oncoming tsunami that is happening. So they're really trying to get to higher ground so that they don't find themselves underwater. And basically everyone is going into survival mode at this point. Elena is trying to figure out how she's going to get back to her home in Seattle, if she even still has a home in Seattle, because they don't know how big this earthquake was and how much of the United States it actually affected. Vincent is trying to figure out how to get to his brother and his family in Oregon around the Portland area. Not sure if they were affected or not. And so they really just work together to try to figure out how to get everybody where they need to go and to find who they need to find. So I absolutely loved this book. It was very fast paced. The earthquake happens very early on in the book, so you see it as it's unfolding, which is really cool. It's not like hey, this happened and now let's move on with the story. This is happening right now. This is exactly what's happening. Here's what's happening after, and things are still happening. All throughout the book, things are still happening. And it was very thrilling, most definitely. Just so much action and so much devastation, and it was really cool to see it as it was unfolding instead of having it be after the fact. So this book is a fiction book, but it's actually based on a real life threat that experts have been speculating on, that something like this could happen to that area of the United States. So that's kind of cool and scary at the same time. I hope that nothing like this would ever happen, but it's something that they're saying could definitely be a possibility. I loved our main characters, Elena and Vincent. They had a really, really great dynamic together, and there were quite a few times that I laughed out loud to the point where my husband was looking at me weird. But there's a really great humor throughout this book. And also, like I said, there's a lot of action in this book, so it was really fast paced and it made me just want to keep going. And every chapter the ending, the way that she wrote it, was just like made me want to keep going. I didn't want to put it down after a chapter. I wanted to keep going to see what was going to happen. And at the same time, it was very, very heartbreaking. You see our characters go through some really hard things. They are literally watching people around them die. And both of our characters are also very flawed. They have their own issues that they have to deal with, you know, personality based, or Vincent has PTSD that he's dealing with as well. And imagine something like this happening to someone with PTSD, and how he reacts to that is very interesting. And just reading about all the devastation that was happening because of this event was just completely heartbreaking, and it was incredibly sad. So I ended up giving this book 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. Like I said, I flew through it. I read it really, really quickly because I did not want to put it down. And I really couldn't find very much about this book that I didn't absolutely love. And a lot of it made sense. Even if there were some things that I was just like, but it made sense still. So it wasn't even really a flaw. It was more just like, okay, but it still made sense to the story and how our characters would react to it. So I really just absolutely loved it. I am going to leave a link down below if you guys want to get this book, because it is out today. And I really hope that you guys will check it out. I'm so incredibly grateful to Carrie Butler for sending me this book so that I can read it and share it with you guys. And I'm definitely going to be looking more into Carrie Butler as an author and read some more of her stuff, because I just absolutely loved it. And it made me so happy. It made me sad and happy at the same time. It's just one of those books where you're reading it and you're like, this shouldn't be making me, like, this shouldn't be good. This is a book that is about something that's really bad. But when you have an author that writes like that, it just makes it all make sense. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you guys again later. Have a great day. Bye.